All right, welcome back, everyone. We are at SFMA, it's a mouthful, 2022, and I am joined by one of our 2022 pioneers in the field, John Clintsman. He brought his buddies along. We've got Thomas Trotter and Michael Brownlee, and we're going to be talking crew culture, mentorship, and why it's so important in this industry. John mentioned you both in his story as far as people that empowered him to kind of not only envision what kind of boss he wanted to be, but what kind of sports field manager he wanted to be. So we'll let you kick it off since you roped these two into it. We're going to put you on the spot first. Just touch on that, on why, how that was, pivotal in your career, having people kind of invest in your success.
So Thomas definitely taught me who I wanted to be as far as a boss goes. He was a good friend, good boss. He would listen. He would take your opinions. He might tell you you're wrong at the end of the day, but he was really good about just listening to you and being patient and calm with you when you screwed up or whatever. Brownlee taught me who I wanted to be as far as a turf manager goes, taking ownership, doing everything in-house, not allowing anybody else's hands to touch it other than mine and my crew's.
Yep. So he might make it worth it if he just keeps complimenting you guys. Just he'll make this worth it. But Thomas, as somebody that has had, leadership roles or had the opportunity to mentor other people, what do you get back in return as far as, how can you advocate for being a mentor and a leader in the sense that it's a two-way relationship? Did you experience that where you're learning from them just as much?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You've got certain goals as a turf manager, like as far as turf goes. But you can only go so far with that. It's cool to grow grass and take care of a professional field. But after you've done it for a little bit, it's even better to see some of the other guys who you've had work for you and what they get to go do and how they grow. And then they get their own guys that they get to mentor. So just kind of snowballs from there. It's just fun to watch.
Well, in some sense, you get to take credit for every field photo that John posts. Like, oh, yeah, that was me there. Or
No, I'm not going to claim any of that. He might post a bad one every once in a while, too.
So, Michael, that leads me to, vendor turf manager relations and the opportunity there to make that also a fruitful relationship. And, it not just being, hey, here's what you need to order and, send me your PO, but really, it sounds like you empowered John to kind of create his own program, take it one step further from that sales guy, turf manager relationship into, a fruitful relationship for you both. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I guess for me, it goes back to when I got into the industry as an end user. I was a golf course superintendent.
Okay.
And a lot of guys would come into your office and they would throw magnets on your desk and tell you they can write you this program and they're going to do that. And they kind of come at you in a way, and it came off offensive to me. I felt like I've got this education. I've done this stuff to get here. I don't need you coming here doing this, And so a lot of what I attempt to do is to highlight certain things that we're good at, that I'm good at, and then just be on property with them, kind of get the go of it, and then they cut it loose and they start directing you pretty quickly, and they'll say 9 times out of 10 they're going to call to with an idea and say, I'm fixing to do this, what do you think? I'm pretty sure it's going to go great, but you see a thing that might happen, and then it kind of spirals and you get more conversation or something. John's doing some wetting agent stuff this winter because of winter kill being kind of a thing possibly with the temperatures, and so it was a piece of literature piece that I gave him, and then he came back and he's doing this, and so it's a cool deal.
Yep.
There's a lot of back and forth between Michael and I. Yes, I'm running my own program that I want to run, and I'm doing it all in-house, but at the same time, like you said, if I'm not 100% confident in what I think I want to do, the first person I'm going to call is Michael and say, what do you think about this? And he may come back with something, change it to this, and we'll go back and forth, but it's a really good, solid relationship of the back and forth and not, here's the product, here's what I told you to do, now go do it.
Yep, definitely. And, that plays into just the culture as a whole of the turf industry. and something that you would want to replicate within a crew? Because if you have relationships that are successful outside of the crew, think of how successful your product can be if the relationships are great on the crew as well. So John, talk a little bit about just like, your goal as far as cultivating a culture within your crew.
So my whole purpose, my whole desire for my guys is to help them be the best. I'm gonna quote Ted Lasso, but to be the best version of themselves.
Yep.
That's what both of these guys did for me, in ways that they don't even understand. They allowed me to be the best version of myself, to teach me everything they could at the time, and then to send me on my way. Well, I'm now doing that as my crew comes in, and I'm able to help them, whether it be as a turf manager, as a person, whatever it is. And then hopefully when they move on, I'm able to help them. Whatever I did now helps them along the way.
Definitely.
Trotter still sends me guys whenever he thinks they're a good fit for me, to join the crew when I have openings or whatever.
And Thomas, you're on the baseball side, correct?
Yes.
So, culture, I would argue, is like one of the most important things because it's long hours. Your crew really becomes a family when there's homestands and the kind of schedule that you guys, have to conquer. What are some ways that you make sure that the culture is, healthy and good for everyone there?
Yeah, so obviously we've got a job to do, but outside of that, I try to just have fun. It's almost like a hobby for all these other guys, because there's so many other guys on the team. This isn't their full-time job. They don't have to do this. They're not making a ton of money doing this. So we've got to kind of turn it into not a party, but it's fun to be there. Yeah. So that's what I try to do. Is just make it fun and a cool atmosphere for all the guys that are there.
Yep. And Michael, as like an outsider's perspective, what have you seen with the crews that you do see that are making fun with it or that have that healthy culture? Do you see a direct effect on what their end product is?
Oh yeah, definitely. You have like Thomas was saying, the hours, whether it's professional sports or even like in our sales team, we have kind of two groups in our sales force, and there's one group that is they've got their own way. Their humor is different than ours. My side is more of a locker room type, thick skin. That people are going to come at you, and it's fun. You know a lot about their families, about their lives, and people mean more to you, I guess. And then the customer relationship becomes that too. Like you quickly I didn't realize how much these guys are going to become my friends.
Yep.
And you're invested in their families, you're invested in what's going on, and then the days go by.
Definitely. And as far as like inspiring the next generation goes, recruiting people to consider this as a career, I think the culture of what you get in this industry could play a huge role in, branding for us and promoting for us. So is there anything that, you would say to like the next gen or somebody at the student level that's like, do I want to do this for my whole life? What would you say as far as like, well, yeah, this is why you would want to do it? John, I'll let you start, and then we'll just move down the line.
Sure. You're gonna build friendships in this industry that are gonna last far beyond working for a guy or working with a guy, far beyond the sales. Like Michael just said, Trotter's already talked about it too. It's in this industry, it's the friendships that you build, and the memories that you make with those friends. I don't really know how to answer that question, but that's probably the best I can do.
We could put that on a Hallmark card.
That's absolutely.
Live, laugh, love, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I'll kind of second that. Like, just stick with it.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm kind of like one of the young guys in this industry, but I guess I'm not. Haven't been to one of these conferences in, 8, 9, 10 years, and I started to think, like, I don't even know anybody here anymore. And then I walked through the trade show, and, every aisle, it's hugs and handshakes.
That's awesome.
And it's like, man, this is all kind of coming back now. Like, this is fun to do this.
Yep. Definitely a reason to, get involved and then stay involved is just that community for sure.
I guess for me, it would be tell a guy to maybe seek out a mentor type, to see somebody that carries himself a way that he wants to carry himself. I know that I did that a lot. Both my grandfathers passed before I was born. My dad died young. And so I have a lot of men in my life that I just might see somebody and I'm like, you know what, and do that. You know, like I said, if as long as you can get along with them and you see how they go about life, how they treat their employees, how they go about their day, and so like I said, just seeking knowledge from others and mentorship.
Yeah, and mentorship was such a huge component of your story. Like you mentioned so many times that you wouldn't be, winning Field of the Year or anything like that if it weren't for the people
Back to back.
Yep.
Just make sure you include that.
Pete. You wouldn't be having any of that success if you didn't have people that invested in you, and that's such a component that needs to be stressed in this industry. Is they may not have the experience or the education, but if they're teachable, then it's worth it in the end. So
these guys were worth the education. They were my education, especially early on, but I couldn't be where I'm at this point without either one of them, and Dr. Goatley.
Well, did he make it worth it for you guys to sit up here and compliment you enough?
Anytime.
Michael's like, no.
Not at all.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this, and I really appreciate it, and I can see that, just the payback and, having that two-way street, friendship, mentorship, looks like it paid off here. So thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.